73B, which is the cannabis oil deal. And the reason why I back it is because of what I've seen it done for people. First of all, let's just talk about, I have an autistic grandson. They live in Arizona. And obviously, the cannabis oil is illegal in Arizona, so my grandson cannot have the benefit of this oil. But I do have a player that played for me that lives in Hawaii that has an autistic grandson, and I call it the story of Frankie. And so Frankie was had no speech. You know, you understand that the kids with autism have seizures. And also they have twitches. So a year ago, they started on the cannabis oil 1 year ago, and we have a doctor here today from Hawaii who knows about this. So immediately when he started on the cannabis oil, the boy would sleep all night and have no twitches. All of a sudden, he had a vocabulary of 15 to 20 words that he never had before. And he had no seizures. And this was immediate. This wasn't after taking the oil for a long period of time. 6 months ago during the football season, Frankie Jr. was able to travel to over here to watch a football game. I had lunch with him and his dad. And all this young man talked about was football, 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 and how much he enjoyed the trip from Hawaii to Utah. And the amazing thing that the cannabis oil has done for Frankie. I have a niece that has MS, and she was really struggling. She was on a feeding tube. She was having minor seizures, doing a lot of problems. So we ended up sending her to Portland, where it was legal. She took the cannabis oil, and she had a complete reversal of her symptoms. She's now back in Utah and working full time and leading a very normal life because of the oil. Now the way I look at it is if my grandson would have the benefit of the cannabis oil, he could become an upper end autistic youngster and not worry about, he's so medicated to keep him from having seizures that it's pretty depressing. When they come out here for Christmas, on the average he'll have 3 seizures when he's here. And it's just traumatic. And what they could do for cancer patients is unbelievable, because the pain, and from what I can figure out, and the doctors can tell a lot better than I can, that this oil is much safer than anything that the doctors are prescribing now. And it's by far the safest pain drug there is. And I've seen it with my niece. I've seen it with Frankie Jr. To me, this is a no-brainer. I mean, this shouldn't be a political issue. This should be something. This is needed. It's needed for the people in our state, and to me, it's just stupidity if you don't pass this bill. So that's what I've got to say.
Hi, I'm Dr. Belknap. I'd like to clarify that this cannabis oil is the whole plant extract advocated by Bill 73, as opposed to Bill 89, which advocates the use of only one of 80 marijuana or cannabinoid extracts. So I would like to emphasize that these patients that Coach has mentioned here have received the entire plant extract, which has led to their incredible improvement and recovery. Are there any questions that we could answer for you?
Senator Madsen, are you still working on your bill or in anticipation of a Senate debate, of a floor debate on Friday? What's the status with your bill?
Yeah, we look forward to presenting it on Friday. We're working on our whip list. We are still optimistic.
Do you think that, yesterday at a news conference, backers of your bill said that they understood it could be DOA in the House. Do you expect that that's going to happen?
I mean, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that the future's uncertain. I mean, we're going to try as hard as we can at every pass. But I understand the position of some of the patients, looking at the process here, realizing how far we have to go, understanding the time constraints of the initiative process. They have to get going and quickly as a stopgap. I would rather that we as a legislature perform our duties and legislate and set policy for the state. I would really rather do it through the legislative process than have the people do it through an initiative. But I certainly understand, and if we can't get it right in the legislature, I love the Coach McBride, if we don't do this, we'll just fill in the blank. But if we don't do this during the session, then I'll be supporting the initiative by all means. I'm very sympathetic to where they're going, and as a plan B, it's a great idea.
So you would support a ballot initiative if your bill dies?
Right, absolutely.
Senator Madsen, you had a meeting yesterday to talk to people about some of their concerns. How did that go? Did you learn anything new?
I was pleased to have the opportunity. I was grateful that I had several colleagues show up and ask their questions, and that's what it was designed for, to walk through the bill and explain what it did. So I was able to answer several questions, and I know that we're going to have differences of opinion. I know, for example, one of my colleagues wants to put a higher tax on it so that we can generate money for some other projects, for education projects or for research or what have you. So we'll have legitimate differences of opinion, and there will be changes to the bill, I'm sure, as it goes further through the process. And then we've got a substitute in the works right now. Some of them are technical changes, but it's open to any kind of other modification we might need to do.
Any big modifications?
We'll talk about some of those with some of my colleagues, and if it's important to get votes, there's some things we can do. There's other things that we can't do. I mean, this came up. I'll use this as an example. I mean, I think it's very important that patients be given the opportunity to have the plant, the whole raw flower, so that because it's less expensive. And a lot of these families are in financial duress, and adding cost to their treatment is not what I would like to do. However, I will confess that it is obviously much easier to measure the dose, for example, if you have an extract and you have a label that says that each dose is 5 milligrams. And I acknowledge that it's more of an approximation when you have the whole flower there. So maybe if there were some votes that could be changed. And this is actually the conversation I think that kind of pushed the patients, because they understand that same aspect. Having the whole plant available is important. The cost, and you can process it yourself. You can extract the medicine, put cold water through cheesecloth, and you've extracted the medicine part of it yourself. You don't have to have a lab do that. But if we get to the point where we have to give up on whole flower, and we just stay with the medicinal extracts as long as that's intact, then maybe we go there. That would be substantial, I would think. But it would, I know some of the patients wouldn't like it. I wouldn't like it a lot, but if that's what it takes to get the bill passed, that's an example. We could go there.
But you're not going there yet?
I haven't taken the language out yet, no. No, again, we're working on the whip list. If it looks like we need to pick up a vote and that makes a difference, we'll work it.
So you'd be willing to go away from legalizing the whole plant access, but legalizing
the unprocessed,
extracts?
yeah. The unprocessed flower, it's tough to measure it, and so now I think, and I'll defer to the doctor here, we need to have the medicinal extracted intact. So it can't just be THC or CBD without the terpenes or the flavonoids. It needs to be the way God made it. But it can be measured and processed for purity, and we don't have to have the raw flower there in the hands of the people. I think the concern is that people are going to go home and they're going to sneak into their rooms and they're going to smoke it. So if we can eliminate that concern by saying you can't have the flower, I guess we go there. It sounds not ideal to me, but if that's the political process, that's what we'll do.
So I take it, Mr. McBride, you are not in support of SB 89?
Of what now?
Senate Bill 89, which is the
No.
extract bill. I
No.
just want to be clear. Could you step to the
No,
microphone, please?
no, I think you use the whole, the doctors can, they can talk more on that, but why you're gonna use part of it when you can use the whole thing to benefit everybody?
In all of the medical studies, about 20,000 papers have been published regarding medical marijuana. Almost all of these papers use the whole plant, and the benefits to those people with serious illnesses are enormous. We would be very remiss in this state. We would not be serving the citizens of our state if we do not allow this bill, Bill 73, to go forward.
You ready for floor debate? You expect the votes are gonna, how do you think the votes are gonna come down?
I think it'll be tight. I think it'll be tight on my bill. But again, we're optimistic.
I have been perplexed by the objections to Senator Madsen's bill. Literally, none of the objections are accurate or carry water when you examine them carefully, scientifically. They're basically an emotional response to the word marijuana. If it were any other word, if it were medicine X, this would pass without difficulty. The worry that the word that's been expressed that it will open the floodgates to a marijuana surge, well, guess what? That has not been seen in any of the 25 states where this is illegal. It simply is untrue. It is fear-mongering. The objection that the traffic accidents would go up, simply not true. In California, Colorado, Washington, etc., the other 25 states, they have not seen a problem with traffic fatalities or accidents increase. The objection, again, that people might get high, well, we have people suffering. We have people with true, serious illnesses, from cancer to Crohn's disease to multiple sclerosis, who are suffering in this state. And we are criminalizing them for their illness. We're making them go to Colorado, California, wherever, to get medication to help them with their disease. That is unconscionable, inhumane, and cruel.
Senator Madsen, as recently as the 12th of this month, the church released a statement in continued opposition of your bill. What are your thoughts on that? Will that be an issue as you come up to vote?
Well, I've said before that cost me one vote. I had one solid aye that left after the church's statement. I'm very pleased that they issued the second statement. The conversations I had initially with them, and the first statement was very vague, just undefined, unintended consequences. And so the fact that they identified the federal issue and issues of access and so forth allows me to come back to my colleagues and say, here was the concern and here's how we've answered it. So I'm grateful they came up with the second statement. If they're operating in good faith and if that's the extent of their concern, I believe we can very adequately address those concerns.
Have you met with the church again, or have you met with them at all to discuss this, to address the concerns?
No, I don't know that I need to negotiate this with the church. They've identified the areas of concern, and so I just need to go to my colleagues and say, here's the areas the church said they were concerned about, and here's how the bill deals with that. If we need to make some more robust language for some of those areas, we can. But what I'm finding is once we walk through the issues that generally my colleagues understand, on the federal issue, I mean, it is federally still classified Schedule 1. At the same time, we have the Republican Congress that has affirmatively twice now, 2 budgets in a row, said that they will not fund any enforcement in the states that have medical cannabis programs. And the administration's Justice Department has offered guidance, federal guidance in the Cole Memoranda, telling states that if they comply with certain criteria, then there will not be any Justice Department enforcement in those states. So we have there's an interesting law review article written on the subject, and they've coined the phrase cooperative federalism, where the states are taking their 10th Amendment prerogatives on these things, and instead of pushing back, the federal government is actually cooperating and enabling the states to move in that policy direction. And that's a dynamic we haven't seen before. For those of us who like the 10th Amendment and like these issues, it's a whole other discussion. So it's an answer, there's an answer to that federal question. Again, whether it satisfies my colleagues, whether it satisfies the church, it may or may not, but there, at least I can walk people through those issues and they can come to their own conclusions. Does that
Thank
work?
you. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time, sir.